Sonic Lab
TV.
For more than 10 years, Jomox have been one of the only really creditable analog emulations of the classic TR-909 and 808 drum sounds. They're analog drum modules since 1995, when they started with the MBase11, have been used by people like The Prodigy, Left Field, Hans Zimmer, to name but a few. We're taking a look at the MBase11, which is their single voice dedicated bass drum module. It follows on from the MBase01, but adds a couple of extra parameters and advances the sound a little bit further. It's worth noting that this bass drum module is not just capable of those emulations, it can do a lot more besides. So let's take a look at the unit. So here's the box. Sturdy metal construction, 3-segment red LED, parameter access via these up and down buttons, 2 parameter knobs. This is a rotary encoder and it also has a push button for entering values. There's a play button for previewing the sounds that you're working on. Communication to the unit you can either trigger via MIDI in or via X-Trig in, which is this input jack here. X-Trig in will take piezoelectric drum trigger such as drum pads or whatever, but also will take a mic signal if the peaks are high enough. My MBase11 goes boom boom. Single mono audio out, external 9-volt standard power supply and an on-off switch. Rubber feet, keep it nice and steady on the desk. There's 110 memories on board the MBase11 to store your user presets and all the bass drum sounds that you can come up with. Let's take a look at some of the key sound parameters for creating those sounds. Start with tune. Tune is not as you might expect for tuning the bass drum, it's the actual start point, so you're at the pitch envelope effectively. So if I turn it right up, you can hear that it starts high and drops down to the fundamental pitch, whereby you tune the bass drum using this one and it goes way down low. You're not going to be able to hear this, I don't think, but that is very low. Okay, decay, make it very long or shorten it right down. The harmonics parameter sort of adds a lot of extra harmonics into the waveform, so it sort of makes it sound a little bit distorted and kind of like a banging 909 kind of wave. Pulse is a sort of click at the beginning, if you like. So I bring that, you can hear a tap right at the start. This is all really useful stuff for creating the character of the sound. Next one down is noise, and that's also a little burst of, it sounds like white noise that you can throw at the front of the bass drum. The attack actually lets you blend between the pulse and the noise portion of the attack of the bass drum. EQ just sort of performs a mid-scoop. Okay, the additional parameters on the right hand side here in red, the first one being volume. The gate time is it's hard to describe, but it sort of allows more of the attack portion of the sound through. So you can go from almost no to a little bit of a tick to a load, a real burst of noise if you've got some set up. Compression kind of allows more of the decay portion of the sound through, or rather less, depending on how much you turn it up. So if you want more of boom of the kick, you set the compression low. If you want more of the front end of the click, you set it high. This metal noise is a new one for MBase, and what it does is gives a different kind of metallic click sound. I don't know if you can hear it there, it's quite subtle, but it's actually really useful for almost editing the sort of wetness that you want on the front of a bass drum. So, quite a lot of variations there. Bear in mind, this is obviously going to be compressed for the web, so some of the bottom end, you're not really going to hear the full benefits of it once it's been squashed to flash. But take it from me, you can get a lot of beef out of this unit. Let's take a look at the setup. Setting up the unit to play is really straightforward. You simply set the MIDI channel 1 to 16, then you've got a straight split mode. In split mode 1, the bass drum triggers on MIDI note 36 only. In split mode 2, what it does is assign the sound over about 3 octaves on the MIDI range, so you could actually use it to play simple bass lines. Might be useful for a bit of drum and bass where you get those sort of pitched bass drums, but the waveform is fairly basic. As far as I can tell, it's just a straight sine wave with a little bit of harmonic variation. There's also an LFO for modulating the pitch, speed, depth, and sync over MIDI. Final button is for store. You just press the button here. One thing to note, the MIDI channel, the split mode and the pitch mode don't appear to be saved with a patch. That's a bit of a drag actually, because I would like to be able to, if you're using it in a live set, you might actually have a situation where you want to play the bass drum on C36 for one song and then play a kind of bass line on another one. You're going to have to get in there and actually change the modes sort of on the fly, which is a little bit of a faff, I think. Could probably fix that with a operating system upgrade, possibly. I can't think of many things in hardware that will do what the MBase11 does, apart from maybe a couple of other Jomox products. Obviously, if you want to go down the software route, that's fine, but you're going to be dealing with latency. You also, if you want to take it out live, you're going to have to take a computer with you. Those sort of things are going to be a bit of a barrier entry, specifically when you think that a lot of people are using this for live drum triggers. In fact, the MBase11 was used a lot by drummers to beef up the bottom end, just triggering it live from their bass drum. No latency, just a single box, couple of wires, easy to set up. At $369 and €239, it's not that much of a price hit. And when you consider there aren't really any other dedicated bass drum modules out there, goodness knows why, because the bass drum is such an important part of much of the music that's around today, it's not a bad value. I think if the bass drum is important to you in music, you really should give this a try at least.